Welcome to Tech Disruptions, deep dives into the technologies reshaping industries, from AI to quantum to biotech. Let's get into it. Okay, so you know how we've been talking for years about AI becoming more capable, moving past just being a fancy search engine or a glorified chatbot?
Oh, yeah, the whole AI is coming for our jobs conversation, but mostly it's been about automating rote tasks or generating text. Interesting, but not exactly running a department.
Exactly. But what if I told you there's a new model out, GPT 5.4, that doesn't just talk about doing work, it does it. And not just simple stuff. I mean, it can literally control your computer's mouse and keyboard, navigate desktop environments, and operate software. It's already outperforming humans on specific software operation tasks.
Wait, outperforming humans? Like actual people trying to do the same task? That's a pretty big leap from just writing a marketing email. It sounds less like an assistant and more like a digital intern who can actually, intern.
More like an intern who can run the whole department while you're on vacation. This isn't just an incremental upgrade, this is being positioned as a fundamental shift. We're talking about AI transitioning from a tool to a digital colleague, capable of executing complex, multi-step workflows across various software applications.
Wow, okay, you've got my attention. Digital colleague is a loaded term, but outperforming humans on actual desktop tasks is something else entirely. What's powering this? What changed?
So, let's dive in. The core idea here is that OpenAI with GPT 5.4 has explicitly moved beyond just building really smart chatbots. They're focused on what they call agentic workflows. Think of it this way. Previous models might specialize in coding or conversation, but this one is a unified general-purpose model combining advanced reasoning, coding, and native computer use. It's not just discussing work, it's actively performing it.
Agentic workflows. That's the buzzword for this era, right? It means the AI can understand a goal, break it down into steps, and then execute those steps by interacting with its environment, using tools. So GPT 5.4 isn't just generating text, it's taking action within software. That's a fundamental difference. It's the difference between telling a chef how to cook and the chef actually cooking.
Precisely, and the specs behind this are pretty staggering. Let's start with the big one, a 1 million token context window.
A million tokens? My jaw just hit the floor. For our listeners who might not be deep in the weeds on this, the context window is essentially the AI's working memory, right? How much information it can remember and process at one time. Early LLMs had a few thousand tokens, maybe enough for a couple of pages. A million tokens? That's like a small library.
Exactly. We're talking the equivalent of thousands of pages of documents. Imagine giving an AI your entire code base, or an entire year's worth of financial reports, or hundreds of research papers, all in a single interaction. It can ingest and process all of that without losing its mind. And apparently, this matches what some of the rival models from Google and Anthropic are doing too, so it's becoming the new high watermark.
That's a game changer for anything requiring deep analysis or synthesis across vast amounts of information. No more breaking things into tiny chunks and losing context. But the headline feature for me is still this native computer control. You mentioned it surpasses humans on benchmarks. How does that even work?
This is where it gets wild. GPT 5.4 is OpenAI's first general-purpose model with the built-in ability to literally control a computer's mouse and keyboard. It can navigate desktop environments and operate software. Think about that for a second. It's not just simulating an action, it's performing it.
So it's like a super advanced robotic process automation tool, but with actual intelligence behind it, not just pre-programmed macros. That's a huge distinction. RPA has been around, but it's very brittle. It breaks if the UI changes even slightly. This sounds much more robust.
It is. The benchmark they use is called OS World for desktop navigation tasks. GPT 5.4 achieved a 75% success rate. Its predecessor, GPT 5.2, was at 47.3%. And get this, the human average on that same benchmark is 72.4%. So yes, it's already slightly outperforming humans in specific software operation tasks. This isn't interesting demo anymore. This is outperforming human capability.
That's the holy crap moment right there. For years, we've talked about AI augmenting humans, doing the grunt work for us. But an AI that can navigate a desktop and operate software better than a human, even on specific tasks, that means the scope of grunt work just expanded exponentially. What else is under the hood?
There's also a new thinking mode, or extreme reasoning mode. This allows the model to dedicate significantly more computational resources to solve complex, multi-step problems. And critically, it has upfront planning, where it displays its reasoning plan before execution. So you can see how it's going to tackle a problem, make corrections, and steer its output without having to start all over again. That's a huge step towards usability and control for users.
That's brilliant. That addresses one of the biggest frustrations with previous LLMs, the black box problem. You'd prompt it, it would give you an answer, and if it was wrong, you had no idea why it was wrong or how to fix its thought process. Seeing the plan, that's crucial for enterprise adoption. It builds trust.
And speaking of trust, another major barrier for enterprise adoption has been the notorious hallucination problem, the AI just making stuff up. OpenAI claims significant improvements here with GPT 5.4. They're reporting a 33% reduction in factual errors compared to GPT 5.2 and an 18% reduction in overall error rate in responses.
That's massive. Hallucinations are the Achilles heel for anything mission critical. If you're going to deploy an AI in legal, finance, or consulting, where accuracy is paramount, you simply cannot have it confidently making up facts. A 33% reduction in factual errors is a huge confidence booster. It starts moving AI from useful but verify everything to pretty reliable but still oversee.
So, we've covered the power, the new capabilities, and the improved reliability. Now let's go deeper into what that 1 million token context window actually means in practice, beyond just the raw number. You called it a small library.
It really is. It really is. Imagine the LLM's context window is like a human's short-term working memory. If you can only hold 3 or 4 ideas in your head at one time, you're constantly forgetting and having to reread. But if you can hold, say, an entire book's worth of information, your ability to connect concepts, understand nuances, and synthesize information skyrockets. That's what this is doing for the AI.
Imagine, and that changes the type of tasks it can handle. Previously, you'd have to break down a big report into sections, feed them to the AI, summarize, then feed the summaries to the AI to get a meta-summary. It was this clunky back-and-forth process. With 1 million tokens, it can analyze entire code repositories, process hundreds of research papers, or review massive legal contracts all in one go.
This is where we move from automating discrete tasks to automating entire projects. Think about a full market research project. You used to have a team of junior analysts spending weeks, if not months, sifting through sales data, market reports, customer surveys. Now, you could theoretically feed all of that raw data into GPT 5.4.
And it can then ingest and analyze within its context window, identify trends, correlations, anomalies, and then generate a complete PowerPoint presentation or a detailed written report, charts and summaries included. All without the human having to constantly intervene, prompt, and piece things together. No more back and forth between human and AI, the AI handles the whole flow.
That's a significant streamlining of workflows. It's not just doing one step faster, it's collapsing an entire multi-step process into a single, continuous operation. The efficiency gains there are almost incalculable for knowledge work. But is it too good to be true? Are there any catches?
You're hitting on a very important point, and one the research report itself highlights, the lost in the middle problem.
Oh, yes, I've heard about this. Even with these massive context windows, models sometimes struggle to recall information if it's buried in the middle of a very long document. They do great at the beginning and the end, but the middle can be a blind spot.
Exactly. It's like the serial position effect in human psychology. We remember the first items on a list, primacy effect, and the last items, recency effect, best, but the stuff in the middle gets a bit fuzzy. Researchers have found that even models designed for long context processing can see performance degrade by over 30% when crucial information is stuck in the middle.
So 1 million tokens is great, but if the AI misses a critical clause in the middle of a 500-page legal document, that's a problem. OpenAI hasn't explicitly detailed how GPT 5.4 mitigates this, have they?
No, the report doesn't go into detail on that, and it's a critical area of uncertainty for users relying on it for high-stakes analysis. Potential solutions in the field include strategically reordering documents to place the most relevant information at the beginning and end, or using more sophisticated retrieval techniques to filter and present only the truly essential context. But whether GPT 5.4 has truly cracked this is still an open question. It means humans still need to be aware of this potential cognitive blind spot.
That's a crucial point of skepticism, and it tempers the hype appropriately. Even with all this power, there are still fundamental challenges that need to be addressed. It means human oversight isn't just about ethics, it's about making sure the AI isn't simply losing vital information.
Which brings us perfectly to our next big theme. Agentic AI is no longer just a technical buzzword, it's now a C-suite problem. This isn't just for the IT department anymore, this is for the CEO, the CFO, the COO.
Absolutely. When an AI can execute complex, multi-step business workflows from end to end, that fundamentally changes how you design your business. It's not about deploying an isolated AI tool for a single task, it's about redesigning core business processes around these autonomous agents.
We're talking about creating digital workers that can handle entire corporate functions, processing invoices, managing customer service tickets, even doing preliminary financial analysis. This requires a complete rethinking of how work is structured and who or what is doing it.
The implications for organizational design are profound. If you can automate entire functions, you need fewer people in those functions, or those people's roles shift dramatically. This is no longer just about efficiency, it's about strategic competitive advantage. And it means the major tech players are building the infrastructure for this.
Totally. It's not just about OpenAI releasing a powerful model. It's about the platforms that allow enterprises to actually deploy, manage, and govern these agents at scale. Microsoft with Copilot Studio is integrating AI agents deeply into its ecosystem: Microsoft 365, Teams, Azure.
And Google Cloud has Vertex AI Agent Builder, Salesforce has Agentforce for sales and customer service, and then you have the established players like ServiceNow and UiPath integrating AI agents into their ITSM and RPA platforms. They're all building the operating system for these AI agents.
Exactly. These platforms are focusing on governance, safety, deep system integrations, and observability. Because when you have thousands of AI agents potentially making decisions and taking actions within your corporate systems, you need to know exactly what they're doing, ensure security, and maintain compliance.
That sounds like a whole new level of IT management complexity, but it's essential because as powerful as these agents are, they're not fully autonomous, nor should they be. This leads us to the crucial concept of human in the loop.
Human in the loop, or HITL, is becoming a foundational principle for responsible AI deployment. These agents are designed to execute routine steps independently, but they should pause and request human approval when they encounter uncertainty or a high-impact decision.
This is critical. It's about blending the scalability and speed of AI with the nuance, emotional intelligence, and contextual understanding that only humans can provide. It's not about replacement, it's about synergy.
And accountability. HITL creates a clear line of accountability, ensuring that a human is ultimately responsible for critical actions taken by an AI system. Imagine an AI negotiating a multi-million-dollar contract. You absolutely need a human to sign off on the final terms, even if the AI did 99% of the drafting and analysis.
It's about designing workflows where the AI handles the heavy lifting, the data crunching, the pattern recognition, and then presents options or flags issues for human judgment. The most successful organizations won't be aiming for full automation, but for a symbiotic relationship.
Which shifts the focus of work, right? It brings us to the new competitive moat and who wins and loses in this new landscape. Let's look at industries built on repeatable knowledge work and structured processes. Two big ones come to mind: consulting and business process outsourcing, or BPO.
Oh, absolutely. Consulting firms are going to feel this keenly. The traditional model relies on teams of junior consultants spending countless hours gathering and synthesizing information, doing market research, data analysis, drafting reports. AI agents can now perform many of those tasks that used to consume the bulk of a junior consultant's time.
So, consulting teams will likely become smaller and more productive, but what they deliver will change. Clients won't want to pay top dollar for services that can be partially automated. They'll demand deeper industry insight, strategic navigation of complex change, skills that AI can't easily replicate. It elevates the human role to a much higher level, strategic function.
And BPO, that's another massive one. That industry has historically been built on labor arbitrage, finding cheaper labor overseas to handle routine tasks. AI transforms BPO from a cost-saving play to one driven by technology and intelligence. AI agents can automate data entry, invoice processing, routine customer service.
This leads to the rise of what they're calling AI-first BPOs. These aren't just BPOs that use AI, they're BPOs whose core value proposition is intelligent automation. They handle routine tasks autonomously, freeing up human agents for more complex, empathetic, and high-value interactions. They offer 24/7 service through AI, and they generate data-driven insights.
It's a race to adopt these new capabilities or get left behind. The competitive landscape for service providers is shifting dramatically. It's no longer just about who has the cheapest labor, but who has the smartest AI and the best operational model to deploy it.
And this fundamentally reshapes corporate knowledge work itself. Roles that are primarily routine, codifiable tasks, data collection, document verification, basic analysis, those are at high risk of automation.
Which means a massive shift in skills. Roles that require complex problem solving, strategic thinking, creativity, and interpersonal skills, those are the ones that will be augmented, not replaced. As AI handles more of the information processing, there's a greater premium on skills like negotiation, leadership, and navigating complex organizational dynamics.
It's a huge shift. The future of knowledge work isn't just humans working, it's humans and their AI digital colleagues collaborating. This is going to demand a lot from education and corporate training to reskill the workforce.
Absolutely. It's not just about job displacement, it's about job transformation. The nature of human work is evolving, and it's evolving rapidly.
So, what are the big takeaways from all this? The key insights we should really be mulling over?
I think first, it's that AI has truly crossed a threshold from being a smart tool to an autonomous agent. The native computer control and the 1 million token context window are not just improvements, they're paradigm shifts that enable entirely new types of workflows.
And second, this means AI is now a C-suite concern. It's no longer just an IT project. It's about strategic workflow redesign, rethinking how entire departments operate, and building the necessary enterprise-grade platforms to manage these agents safely and securely.
Third, the human in the loop isn't a luxury, it's a strategic necessity. For both reliability and accountability, we need to design systems where human judgment remains paramount for high-stakes or ambiguous decisions. It's about a symbiotic relationship, not full replacement.
And finally, industries built on knowledge work, consulting, BPO, are facing immediate and profound disruption. The competitive moat is shifting from labor cost to AI capability, which means everyone needs to adapt or risk being left behind by AI-first competitors.
It's a lot to digest, and it raises some really big questions for all of us.
For sure. Like, how quickly will enterprises actually move from just experimenting with AI agents to fundamentally redesigning their core workflows? What are the biggest barriers? Technical, cultural, or even regulatory?
And has OpenAI really solved that lost-in-the-middle problem for those massive context windows? Or will that remain a critical vulnerability for complex reasoning tasks? Because that's a huge unknown.
And for our listeners, what new skills do you think will become most valuable in this new world of human-AI collaboration? How should we be preparing ourselves and our teams for this future? That's all for this episode of Tech Disruptions. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Stay curious out there.